In this video you can find the ultimate list of the best graphics cards for 1440x144 HC gaming. No matter if you want to play AA titles on max details or just want to run games in 1440 resolution at 144 HC regardless of visuals, we've got you covered. Number 1. PowerColor RX 6800 XT Red Devil. The fastest 1440x144 HC and GPU is the RX 6800 XT. The card is quite capable and, in rasterization, it's faster than the RTX 3080 1440. You also get 16 GB of memory instead of 12 GB. The memory is slower. GDDR6 vs GDDR6X found on NVIDIA cards, but AMD Infinity Cache makes up the difference in bandwidth. On the flip side, NVIDIA cards have two big upsides. The first is better ray tracing performance. The second is DLSS. Yes, AMD did release FSR, Fidelity FX Super Resolution recently, which is the company's answer to NVIDIA's DLSS. But firstly, FSR doesn't look as good as DLSS, and secondly, FSR works both with AMD and NVIDIA cards. You won't get the same level of performance boost when using an NVIDIA GPU, but still, you're able to use it and reap performance benefits. Finally, if you look at the list of current and upcoming games with DLSS and /or FSR support, you'll notice that DLSS has better support among developers. Number 2. PowerColor RX 6800 Red Dragon. The RX 6800 is the third fastest card from AMD and one of the best GPU for high refresh rate 1440 gaming overall. The RX 6800 is a tad slower, about 12% than the RX 6800 XT. Still, this GPU does offer one of the best 1440 high refresh rate experiences. 16 gigs of fast memory will make sure you'll be able to run next-gen titles once these come out. Overall, a card that can run any game in triple-digit frame rates as long as you don't touch ray tracing effects. Ray tracing performance is far from NVIDIA counterparts and there's no DLSS support, but the card is noticeably faster than the RTX 3070 while being on par with the more expensive RTX 3070 Ti. You won't be able to run the latest AA titles at 144 FPS, but a great majority of current titles will run well above 144 FPS. That said, even the most demanding AA games will run at or near 100 FPS, which should be more than enough for single-player experiences. Number 3. EVGA RTX 3070 Ti FTW3 Ultra Gaming. If you're ready to lower some visual settings to achieve 144 FPS in most games, you don't have to get one of the fastest cards available today. The RTX 3070 Ti should do the trick. This is a pretty fast card and an excellent value GPU for high refresh rate 1440 gaming. You won't be able to achieve 144 FPS with ultra settings, but drop down visuals down a notch and you'll get there. Number 4. EVGA RTX 3080 Ti FTW3 Ultra Gaming. Let's get one thing straight before we start recommending best 1440x144 HC graphics cards left and right. A true, zero-compromise 1440x144 HC graphics card for gaming doesn't exist. Some games, such as AC, Valhalla, MS Flight Simulator, Cyberpunk 2077, Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition, or Control won't get near 144 HC with all settings maxed and ray tracing turned on. But there are a couple of options that can run most games with maxed out settings at 1440 and 144 HC. And if you want to go a step higher, you could visit our guide on the best 1440 240 HC monitors. We didn't include the RTX 3090 because that card's a clear overkill for 1440. The AMD RX 6900 XT also isn't included, for the same reasons. If you want the best performance in this resolution, get the RTX 3080 Ti instead. The Ti version of the 3080 packs 12 gigs of blazing fast GDDR6X memory coupled with high clocks and monstrous power requirements. The regular version of the card packs 10 gigs of equally fast GDDR6X memory and is about 10–12% slower than its beefier cousin. In other words, you should expect a smooth 144 FPS or higher frame rate with all settings cranked to the max. The usual AA power hubs mentioned above won't reach 144 FPS, some will even work below 100 FPS with ultra settings. But hey, at least you'll be able to play those games with ultra settings at frame rates noticeably higher than 60 FPS. And when it comes to less demanding games, not only will they work buttery smooth, they'll most likely run at insane frame rates, well above your monitor's max refresh rate. In that case, we recommend downloading the Riva Tuner Statistics Server, RTS, and using it as an external frame limiter. Just set the max frame rate a couple of frames below your max refresh rate and you're set. Number 5. EVGA RTX 3060 Ti FTW Ultra Gaming. The RTX 3060 Ti is the best bang for the buck GPU for 1440p high refresh rate gaming, at least if we're looking at the MSRP. The card's about 15% slower than the RTX 3070, which translates into triple-digit performance in most games with options cranked to the max. The most demanding AA titles will have to see their settings turned down a notch to get the high refresh rate experience. Either that or turning on DLSS where possible. In some games, such as Control or Cyberpunk 2077, you'll have to do both if you want to reach triple-digit performance. If DLSS isn't available, like an AC, they'll either play at medium-high settings or settle for a 6 fps experience. Of course, as is the case with all GPU featured up to this point, any sports game will run wondrously on this GPU. Number 6. PowerColor RX 6700 XT Hellhound. The AMD RX 6700 XT is very similar in performance to the RTX 3060 Ti and RTX 3070. AMD offering has more graphic memory, 12GB vs 8GB on the RTX 3060 Ti/RTX 3070, and is a bit faster at 1440p. On the flip side, there's no DLSS support and you're getting noticeably worse ray tracing performance. This translates into near triple-digit frame rates in AA titles with settings turned down to medium-high, even when playing the worst offenders when it comes to system requirements. This also means that, if you're ready for a 6 fps experience in single-player AA titles, you'll be able to enjoy them with all settings cranked to the max. Of course, this also means no ray tracing since RTX effects will tank performance way below the 6 fps mark in games that support it. Older AA titles and multiplayer games should give you 144 fps performance with max settings. Number 7. XFX RX 6600 XT Speedster SWFT 210. The RX 6600 XT is the latest graphics card from AMD that's about 10% faster than the RTX 3060. With this level of performance, we could just put it in the lower performance bracket. However, we've decided that it's fast enough to be the minimum requirement for high refresh rate 1440p AA gaming. With that said, the RX 6600 XT high refresh AA gaming promises a lot of limitations. First of all, forget about max settings. Hell, forget even about most settings set to high, at least when it comes to the most demanding games. If you want a high refresh AA experience, be ready to lower most of the settings to medium. A medium-high setting combo should be enough for a 6 fps AA experience in most titles. And of course, forget about ray tracing. 8GB of GDDR6 memory should be enough for a solid gaming experience in current and upcoming games, since this isn't a card made for running games at 1440p with max settings. And of course, the sports titles should push high frame rates, often surpassing the 240p mark. Number 8. Zotac Gaming RTX 3060 Twin Edge OC. Overall, the RTX 3060 is slower than the RX 6600 XT, but if you ask us, the NVIDIA card is a better choice at the moment. Sure, it's slower, but it has DLSS support that can push certain titles well over 100 fps with DLSS enabled. Further, some demanding games, such as Watch Dogs, Legion, can be enjoyed at 6 fps with ultra settings with DLSS. Finally, the RTX 3060 comes with a whopping 12GB of memory. Plenty of memory for current and future titles. You should reach at least 60 frames per second in demanding AA games with high-medium settings. Older AA titles, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Borderlands 3, even RDR2 will run well above 6 fps with high/max settings. Overall, not too shabby. The only major downside of the RTX 3060 is the price. Still, if you want the best performance in sports titles, the RTX 3060 is the best high refresh rate 1440p gaming card for gamers who prefer playing multiplayer games.